In the year 808 of the founding of Rome, a thick, damp mist shrouded the city, curling like a ghostly veil to cloak its early streets and structures. It was as if the nearby river Sava, with its cold, murky waters, poured its gloomy shroud over the lowlands, nestled between 7 gentle hills. Within this ethereal haze, the outlines of the earliest temples on the Capitoline Hill took shape, modest, humble relics of a developing civilization, their forms blurred and indistinct, swallowed by the pervasive fog. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth, the acrid odour of smoke from countless hearths, and a sharp, repulsive stench of uncleanliness. That foulness, a mixture of sewage and refuse, trickled through narrow streets, making its way toward the marshy future of what would become Rome's Forum, the heart of its burgeoning empire. In this nascent city, still trembling on the cusp of greatness, an insatiable thirst ruled silently. It was not a thirst for power, nor for glory, but an unquenchable craving for pure, drinkable water, vital, life-giving, yet desperately scarce. The Tiber River, with its tawny, sluggish waters teeming with sickness and contamination, served as an unwitting harbinger of the struggles to come. Wells, dug into the rocky soil, were few and capricious, unable to meet the demands of the growing population. Well-trained guardians, the priests protecting the rare and precious springs, like the sacred fountain of Eterna, regarded these sources as divine gifts, fiercely defending them against contamination. Still, these sacred waters could hardly quench the endless thirst of a city swelling in size and ambition. A typical Roman of this era was born into, lived through, and ultimately perished within this harsh reality of persistent deprivation. He would drink watered-down wine not for pleasure, but as a means to purify and disinfect the scant, often contaminated water available. Looking at his children, he saw them fading under the relentless heat and fever caused by stagnant pools and contaminated drinking sources. Fear haunted him, fear of fire, of flames that could ignite suddenly and reduce everything he loved to ashes, because water for firefighting was a luxury that did not exist. No one yet knew that the solution to this vital predicament would not be sought through divine prayer or territorial conquest, but would instead be born from human ingenuity. The answer would emerge from the minds of engineers, brought to life by legionaries and slaves. It would come from distant, cool Albanian mountains, carrying with it the promise of life and purity. The solution would flow through the veins of a revolutionary system, a network of conduits and aqueducts that would acquire the status of blood for the burgeoning Roman Empire. This marvel of engineering would forever change the course of history, and its name would be aqueduct, a word that would become synonymous with the very lifeblood of the city. On that bleak day, when Rome was choking on its own dirt and suffering from parched throats, the threads of fate had already begun to weave an intricate knot, a knot destined to alter the future forever. For a city intended to dominate the world had to first learn how to master the element that sustained it. It had to conquer water itself. During this period, as the imposing authority of old kings gradually yielded to the power of stern consuls, and as the Roman Republic fought its earliest desperate battles for survival against neighbours like the Etruscans, the Samnites, the Volsci, and other tribes, the city was growing rapidly. Its expansion was neither methodical nor planned, but rather chaotic, organic, akin to a living creature consuming the space around it. By the close of the 8th century before the Common Era, Rome was no longer simply a cluster of villages perched on hills. Instead, it had evolved into a boiling cauldron of diverse tribes and peoples, where bustling markets exchanged goods and laws were forged under the smoky skies of its crowded streets. Yet, this rapid growth carried an ominous underside. The city's most vulnerable point, its water supply, grew increasingly problematic and dangerous. As the city expanded, so too did its Achilles heel, the issue of reliable, safe water. This challenge transcended mere inconvenience. It became a matter of national security and survival. Every epidemic erupted in overcrowded districts was directly linked to the consumption of contaminated water. Every drought threatened to ignite a revolt among the restless masses. Roman engineers, whose skills were initially limited to constructing sturdy defensive walls and well-paved roads, looked longingly at the yellow, sluggish waters of the Tiber. This great river, the city's lifeline and protector, was paradoxically also one of its deadliest enemies, a source of both sustenance and poison. Waste and refuse were dumped into her waters, laundry was washed along her banks, and filth from overflowing cesspits coursed into her depths, and thus the city's greatest and most pressing challenge, how to secure pure, uncontaminated water, loomed larger than ever, threatening to undo all the burgeoning might of Rome itself. The challenge of providing safe drinking water in ancient Rome was far from straightforward. Drinking water that was contaminated or impure could easily lead to serious illness or even death, making the quest for a reliable, clean source a matter of life and death for the city's inhabitants. The initial efforts by the Romans to address this peril did not involve constructing elaborate aqueduct systems or sophisticated water supply networks. Instead, their first major endeavour was to develop an advanced sewage system, an astonishing and practical solution to a pressing problem. This perhaps ironic approach underscores the severity of the issue. Before the city could be supplied with pure, life-giving water, it first needed to rid itself of the filthy waste that permeated its streets and foundations. Thus, one of the earliest and most enduring feats of Roman engineering was the construction of the Cloaca Maxima, or the Great Sewer. According to tradition, this monumental undertaking was initiated as early as the reign of the city's fifth king, Lucius Tarquinius Priscus, in the 6th century BC. Initially, the Cloaca Maxima was designed as an open channel, a simple canal carved out of earth and stones, primarily intended to drain the marshy lowlands, lying between the original 7 hills of Rome. This low-lying area, prone to flooding and stagnation, would eventually become the site of Rome's bustling forum, the political and commercial heart of the city. The task of creating such a drainage system was nothing short of titanic. It involved countless labourers working tirelessly for decades, meticulously excavating tons upon tons of earth and rock, and reinforcing the channel's walls with carefully laid stones. Their collective effort transformed a swampy, uninhabitable space into a dry, usable land, facilitating urban development and public health. As time progressed and Rome transitioned from monarchy to republic, the Cloaca Maxima was further refined. Its open channel was eventually covered over with a mighty stone vault, transforming it into an underground conduit of extraordinary proportions. In certain sections, its height reached as much as 3 meters, large enough for a small cart or wagon to pass through. This subterranean sewer, a marvel of engineering for its era, served as a vital artery for draining both stormwater and the city's waste. The Cloaca Maxima became an iconic symbol of Roman ingenuity, an infrastructure project that not only transformed Rome's landscape, but also laid the crucial groundwork for sanitation, public health, and urban growth. It cleared the forum area from the overwhelming presence of filth, turning it into a space conducive to civic life and commerce. Yet, despite its revolutionary nature, the sewer system did not resolve the fundamental issue of water supply itself. It was effectively a drainage system that carried away the refuse, rather than bringing in fresh, potable water. The city remained thirsty, facing persistent shortages and relying heavily on intermittent sources such as springs and wells. The problem of securing a steady and uncontaminated supply of drinking water remained unresolved, a challenge that would dog the city for centuries. This persistent scarcity and the ongoing struggle to quench the thirst of its residents would eventually lead to remarkable innovations and visionary projects. Enter a figure whose name would forever be etched in the annals not only of political history, but also of engineering and urban planning, Appius Claudius, known by the nickname the Blind. This moniker would only be bestowed upon him at an advanced age, for in 2012 BC, when he held the highest and most esteemed position in the Roman state, the office of censor, he was among the most far-sighted and influential men of the Republic. Claudius was a man of unyielding determination and colossal energy, a member of the patrician aristocracy, hailing from an ancient and noble lineage. He despised the arrogance of inherited privilege and looked beyond military conquests to the true greatness of Rome, the well-being and progress of its civic and infrastructural accomplishments. He was the mastermind behind the construction of the famed Via Appia, often called the Queen of Roads, which connected Rome to the city of Capua and became a crucial strategic route for military movements and commerce. Under his leadership, Rome's connectivity expanded, facilitating the movement of legions and traders, strengthening economic ties, and boosting the city's influence across the Mediterranean. However, even as the Via Appia exemplified practical engineering and strategic foresight, Claudius's ambitions reached even further. In the same year, 2012 BC, amidst ongoing conflicts in the southern regions of Italy, particularly during the turbulent Second Samnite War, Claudius devised an even more daring and visionary plan, one that would transform Rome's relationship with water itself. He dared to conceive of bringing fresh water into the city from distant sources, not from the nearby Tiber River or local wells, but from clear, pristine springs located far beyond the city's immediate vicinity, nestled in the foothills of distant mountains. This was an idea bordering on madness, simply because no civilization had dared to undertake such a colossal feat before, to engineer an aqueduct that spanned many kilometers over challenging terrain, carrying water to a metropolis that was vastly in need. Realizing the enormity of this challenge, Claudius understood that such an undertaking would demand enormous resources, meticulous calculations, and unwavering political resolve. Any project of this scale threatened to meet resistance, especially from conservative senators who viewed such lavish spending as unnecessary and wasteful. Nevertheless, Claudius was undeterred. Leveraging his authority and influence as censor, he obtained the necessary funds, employed the best engineers and architects of his time, and began laying the foundations for what would become one of the most iconic engineering marvels of antiquity. The new aqueduct was christened Aqua Appia, meaning water of Claudius, symbolizing its essential connection to him and his vision. The sources of this revolutionary water supply were located approximately 16 miles eastward from Rome, a lengthy journey through rugged terrain and varied landscapes. The chief engineering challenge was to ensure a continuous and gentle gradient along the entire length of the aqueduct, so that water could flow entirely by gravity, self-propelled and without the need for pumping stations or artificial assistance. Achieving this required precise calculations, careful surveying, and expert craftsmanship, all aimed at creating a perfect, unbroken slope that would carry the water safely and steadily into the city. The construction of the Aqua Appia marked a turning point in Roman engineering. an ambitious project that transformed how a city could be supplied with life-sustaining water. It exemplified the Romans' capacity for large-scale infrastructure, their mastery of hydrology, and their political will to push boundaries that would seem impossible even today. Thanks to Claudius's boldness and ingenuity, Rome's water deficit was finally addressed in a way that balanced the demands of urban growth and aesthetics with the practical needs of sanitation and everyday life. The aqueduct's construction, stretching across diverse terrains and overcoming natural obstacles, became a testament to the keenness and perseverance that characterized Roman technological innovation, an enduring symbol of their civilization's ability to harness nature's resources for the common good. A single miscalculation, a tiny slip in the delicate process of planning and construction, could have transformed what was meant to be a precise and vital water conduit into a useless trench filled with stagnant, lifeless water. The ancient Roman land surveyors, despite working with relatively primitive tools by today's standards, demonstrated remarkable ingenuity and craftsmanship. They employed devices such as the harabat, a simple yet effective instrument consisting of a long wooden beam fitted with a water channel designed to serve as a level, akin to the ancient libella, and the groma, a device used to establish straight lines and right angles for accurate layout. With painstaking care and incredible precision, they charted the route for the future aqueduct, ensuring every curve and slope was meticulously planned to optimize water flow across vast distances. One of the most distinctive features of the Aqua Appia, the first aqueduct built in Rome, was its largely subterranean construction. Its entire length of approximately 16.4 kilometers was tunneled beneath the city, concealed beneath layers of earth and stone, hidden from enemies' view and protected from potential sabotage. The decision to keep the conduit mostly underground was heavily influenced by the tumultuous and cautious times the Romans experienced, particularly following the harsh lessons learned during the Samnite Wars. An exposed water channel, vulnerable to attack, would have been an inviting target for invading armies, who could strike at its breach and deprive the entire city of its vital water supply, forcing capitulation without a single battle. To prevent such a catastrophe, thousands of labourers, working with the stealth and diligence of moles burrowing through the earth, dug tunnels and created intricate networks beneath the city. Their work was an enormous feat of engineering and perseverance, almost akin to a secret underground river flowing beneath the bustling streets above. Only at a few crucial points did the aqueduct emerge from the underground maze, such as across a low-arched bridge that supported the conduit over a valley. The entrance to this conduit was situated near what was known as the Bison Market, a bustling marketplace that also served as the Forum Boreum, located in one of the city's lowest spots, an area naturally prone to flooding and difficult to protect. Water from the aqueduct was channeled into a decorative fountain, a marvel for the residents, who regarded it not merely as a utility, but as a symbol of Rome's strength and ingenuity. This was no ordinary fountain. It was an emblem of the Republic's capacity to solve complex problems through engineering brilliance. The Aqua Appia supplied the city with approximately 73,000 cubic meters of pure water every single day. Although this amount was insufficient to transform Rome into a city renowned for its countless fountains and opulent thermal baths, it was more than enough to prevent devastating epidemics, sustain daily life, and foster ongoing growth and development. The visionary behind these monumental feats was Appius Claudius, a blind censor who demonstrated that even with physical limitations, one could lead a city to greatness. His innovations proved that mountains could be made to serve as natural barriers and water sources, essentially transforming formidable natural features into vital resources by directing streams from remote springs into the urban heart. His pioneering work laid the foundation for a new era of Roman engineering. This was merely the beginning, however, for the age of aqueduct construction was only just unfolding. The initial success of the Aqua Appia seemed to ignite Rome's insatiable appetite for more, as each new aqueduct project promised to bring even greater quantities of life-giving water to the city. The very first sip of fresh, clean water, so generously supplied by Appius Claudius, seemed only to whet Rome's thirst for grandeur and excellence. Over the next 4 decades, the Roman Republic, hardened and strengthened through victorious campaigns against the Samnites and other formidable foes, achieved a decisive triumph over King Pyrrhus of Epirus, a legendary figure known for his fierce battles and the elephants that carved a path through Roman armies. The spoils of war, streams of gold and silver, flooded into Rome's treasury, fueling a period of unprecedented prosperity and military might. Rome was rapidly ascending as the dominant power across Italy, and its capital's ambitions grew in tandem. The original Aqua Appia, hailed as a marvel of its time, no longer met the expanding needs of this burgeoning metropolis. Its capacity was becoming insufficient for the ever-increasing population. By then, the city's inhabitants kept multiplying, pushing the limits of existing infrastructure. Water remained a scarce resource, predominantly accessible in the city's low-lying districts, while the elevated areas where the aristocracy resided continued to suffer from acute shortages. A more powerful and longer aqueduct was urgently required, backed by substantial funds and political will. In the year 272 BC, exactly 4 decades after the initial Aqua Appia, Roman censor Mennius Curius Dentatus and Lucius Papirius Cursor launched a new grand project, the construction of a second aqueduct to meet the city's growing demands. Mennius Curius Dentatus, a veteran of the war with Pyrrhus, was a man of extraordinary modesty, integrity, and patriotism. He invested his entire share of the spoils of war into this ambitious endeavour, demonstrating his unwavering commitment to Rome's future. The new aqueduct was named Annio Vetus, meaning Old Annio, since its source was the river Annio, known today as the Aniene, an affluent of the Tiber River. This connection not only symbolised a new chapter in Roman engineering, but also showcased how they harnessed natural waterways from distant hills to sustain their constantly expanding city. The solution devised for supplying water to ancient Rome was both ingeniously brilliant and inherently a compromise. On one hand, the Annio Vetus River held the potential to provide a far greater volume of water than the modest springs of the Aqua Appia, which had been Rome's first aqueduct. Yet, on the other hand, the water from the Annio Vetus was not as pure. After heavy rains, it often became murky and sediment-laden, and it was not as cold as the spring water sources. However, in the grand schemes of urban engineering, the sheer volume of water carried through the aqueduct outweighed issues of purity or temperature. This consideration of volume and capacity ultimately shaped the entire project. This undertaking was considerably more complex than previous aqueduct constructions. The engineering challenge was to divert water from the Annio River, located approximately 63 kilometers from Rome itself, in the mountains near what is now the city of Tivoli. This immense distance meant that the total length of the aqueduct, known as Annio Vectus, would be approximately 4 times longer than that of the earlier Aqua Appia. Such an extensive construction required meticulous planning and sophisticated engineering. Rome's engineers accepted this formidable challenge with determination. Building upon the experience gained during the construction of the Aqua Oppia, Rome's second aqueduct, they adhered once more to the strategy of underground channels. Out of the total 63.7 kilometres of the Anio Vectus, only about 200 metres ran on the surface. The rest was cleverly hidden beneath the earth. Carving out more than 60 kilometres of underground tunnel was an enormous and labour-intensive task. For decades, thousands of enslaved workers and hired labourers laboured tirelessly, chipping away at solid rock to create the tunnel. The cross-sectional dimensions of this extensive conduit were roughly 8/10 of a metre wide and 2 metres 40 centimetres high. Working in darkness, illuminated only by flickering oil lamps, they used primitive tools such as simple pickaxes to break chunks of stone and earth. Ventilation shafts were systematically excavated at regular intervals, allowing fresh air to circulate within the tunnel and serving as access points for maintenance and future repairs. These shafts, positioned at equal distances along the route, not only facilitated work within the tunnel, but also provided vital access points for cleaning, inspection, and the removal of excavated material. Crafting a reliable gradient along such a vast underground stretch required extraordinary precision. The engineers carefully calculated the slope of approximately 1.5 to 2 metres per kilometre to ensure a steady water flow without stagnation or excessive speed. They skillfully navigated natural obstacles and variances in the terrain, following the undulations and contours of the landscape to minimise the construction of costly bridges or viaducts. Their work resulted in the Anio Vectus becoming a triumph of underground engineering, an invisible artery silently and efficiently channeling water from the mountain source toward the heart of the city. However, despite the engineering success, the project faced delays. The death of Appius Claudius, the mastermind behind the Aqua Appia, and the subsequent political interruptions slowed progress. It was only in 269 BCE, under the leadership of consul Marcus Fulvius Flaccus, that the construction concluded. When the waters of the Anio Vectus finally surged into Rome, the event was nothing short of explosive, akin to an upheaval bursting forth. The new aqueduct delivered more than 175,000 cubits of water daily, an astonishing quantity, almost double that supplied by the Aqua Appia. This influx of water represented a literal deluge for the city, flooding its needs and transforming the urban landscape. For the first time in Rome's history, water was supplied in such abundance that it went far beyond mere drinking and cooking. It began to serve various artisanal and communal purposes, fueling industries such as dyeing and laundry, which became known as lowlands, large laundries and workshops where clothes and textiles were cleaned using water. This new abundance also made possible the establishment of modest public baths, spaces where Roman citizens could not only cleanse themselves, but also socialise and exchange news. This marked the beginning of a distinct water culture that, over time, would become a defining feature of Roman urban life. Water ceased to be a luxury reserved for the elite and evolved into an everyday necessity for all classes. Nevertheless, the Anio Vectus was not without its significant drawbacks, the most critical of which pertained to the water's quality. The water carried by this aqueduct was often hard, meaning it contained a high concentration of minerals, and it frequently became cloudy due to sediment and organic matter. As a consequence, the Romans primarily relied on this water for technical purposes, irrigating gardens, washing clothes, and industrial activities, rather than for drinking. For potable needs, they continued to prefer the cleaner, clearer water supplied by the earlier Aqua Appia, which originated from spring sources known for their superior purity. This reliance on different water sources led to the first case of water quality differentiation within the city. Over time, Rome's ancient engineers and city planners learned to manage their water supplies more effectively, establishing a rudimentary system of water distribution that allocated higher quality, cleaner water for drinking and cooking, while reserving the less pure but more abundant water from the Anio Vectus for non-potable uses. Such a division marked the beginning of a more sophisticated understanding of water management, one that distinguished between different qualities of water and allocated them according to need. Despite its imperfections, the Anio Vetus played an indispensable role in shaping the development of Rome. It was not merely a conduit for water, but a vital infrastructure that supported the city's growth, sanitation, and social life. Its construction marked a remarkable achievement in civil engineering, a monumental feat that showcased Roman ingenuity and determination. In many ways, this aqueduct laid the groundwork for the sophisticated water systems that Roman civilization would become renowned for in the centuries to come, transforming the city from a sprawling settlement into a thriving metropolis, fully equipped to meet the needs of its expanding population. During his tenure, he played a pivotal role in enhancing the city's infrastructure by providing a reliable water supply to the newly developed elevated districts, thereby enabling their rapid settlement and growth. His efforts not only facilitated the expansion of inhabited areas, but also sparked a significant boost in local craftsmanship, encouraging artisans and workers to innovate and produce more refined goods. At the same time, he contributed substantially to improving the sanitary conditions across the city, reducing the prevalence of disease and elevating overall public health standards. In these ways, he propelled Rome forward, marking yet another monumental step in its relentless journey toward becoming a true metropolis of vast proportions. The aqueducts named Appia and Anio Vetus operated in unison, functioning much like the beating hearts of the city, pumping life-sustaining water through its arteries, sustaining the growing population and the bustling neighbourhoods. These engineering marvels worked tirelessly, delivering essential resources that fueled daily life and urban expansion. Yet, even with these incredible structures in place, the most impressive leaps into the future lay still ahead. Rome's ambitions had grown beyond merely quenching the city's thirst. Now it craved water of unparalleled purity, crystalline as mountain ice and as cold as the snow that capped distant alpine peaks. The city's rulers understood that water of this caliber was a symbol of its new imperial stature, an emblem of its grandeur and power. They were prepared to pay any price necessary to acquire such water, recognizing its importance for the city's prestige and the well-being of its inhabitants. Over the course of more than a century, Rome underwent a dramatic transformation, evolving from a regional power within Italy into the dominant master of the entire Mediterranean basin. The conquest of Carthage and Macedonia, along with the subjugation of Greece, catapulted Rome onto the world stage, filling its treasury with an unprecedented wealth that flowed from the conquests and the resources of the entire known world. Its growing population, now exceeding 500,000 citizens, continued to increase at an unrelenting pace, fueling the construction of grandiose residential districts, luxurious mansions that housed the patrician elite, known as domus, and densely packed apartment blocks called insules, which accommodated the urban poor. These new buildings sprawled across the hills surrounding the city, climbing higher with each generation of expansion. The older aqueducts, named Aqua Appia and Anio Vetus, constructed over 100 years earlier, were no longer sufficient. They showed signs of wear, deteriorated, requiring constant repairs and losing efficiency, unable to keep pace with the city's surging demand. Moreover, the water quality, especially from the Anio Vetus, increasingly fell under criticism, with complaints about its purity and safety mounting among the populace. The capital of the Roman world deserved a better, more magnificent water supply, a symbol worthy of its status as the greatest city on earth. The citizens and leaders alike yearned for water that was not only plentiful and clean, but also majestic in presentation, embodying Rome's newfound imperial grandeur. The need for a perfect solution became urgent, especially as social tensions grew and the vulnerability of the existing waterworks became obvious. By the year 144 before the Common Era, as societal unrest intensified and the water crisis threatened to undermine the city's stability, the Roman Senate entrusted the task to a capable and determined man, Quintus Marcius Rex. He was a man of action, descended from one of Rome's royal lineages, renowned for his decisiveness and leadership qualities. The Senate allocated an enormous sum for that time, roughly 180 million sesterces, and granted him extraordinary powers to carry out the project. Rex faced a challenge of unprecedented scope. He was tasked with restoring the ancient aqueducts and, more importantly, constructing a new groundbreaking aqueduct designed to permanently solve the problem of acquiring high-quality water. His mission was twofold: repair the aging, overburdened infrastructure and create a new channel that would deliver water of exceptional purity to the heart of Rome. With an approach reminiscent of imperial grandeur, Quintus Marcius Rex tackled this colossal task without hesitation. Instead of seeking compromises or settling for partial solutions, he launched an ambitious project based on locating and securing the most pristine water source in Italy. Situated 45 miles from the city, in the valley of the Anio River. Here, springs emerged from the earth, so pure and cold that legends claimed even the goddess Venus herself had bathed in these waters. From this legendary source, it was decided to direct the water through a new aqueduct, which was eventually named after its creator, Aqua Maxima. The project was unmatched in daring and scale, stretching for nearly 55 miles, the length of which significantly exceeded the limits of previous constructions of similar magnitude. Such a distance was intimidating even to the most experienced of Roman engineers. Yet, the true revolution was not solely in the length of the aqueduct, but in the innovative approach to bringing water to the city's highest points, specifically to the Capitol Hill, the political and religious centre of Rome. To achieve this, Rex and his team decided to abandon the conventional underground tunnelling method for the entire route. Instead, they chose to preserve the maximum height of the aqueduct throughout its course. This decision meant that for difficult terrains, valleys, ravines, and flowing rivers, the aqueduct would cross above the landscape, supported by an array of monumental arches, rather than buried beneath the ground. These arches, now celebrated as some of the most iconic symbols of Roman engineering mastery, were designed to rise majestically over the natural obstacles, creating a striking visual ascent that would symbolize Rome's ability to conquer nature itself. This visionary construction plan led to the birth of the grand monumental aqueduct bridges, silent witnesses to Rome's engineering ingenuity and determination. Their impressive soaring arches not only facilitated the efficient transportation of water across challenging terrain, but also exemplified the empire's grandeur and its unparalleled mastery of architecture. It was an audacious achievement, one that solidified Rome's reputation as a city capable of turning even the most ambitious visions into tangible reality, forever changing the landscape of hydraulic engineering and leaving behind a legacy that endures to this day.  'day. 'The final 11 kilometers of the Aqua Maxima stretched before the approaching city of Rome, forming a majestic, sprawling structure consisting of thousands of stone arches that towered above the surrounding landscape. This was no mere feat of engineering, it was a powerful declaration of Roman authority, strength, and wealth. From afar, a traveller nearing the city would see this grand man-made mountain, a colossal stone river flowing across the sky, instantly recognizing that he was entering into the domain of a civilization capable of bending the very laws of nature to its will. Constructing such an immense aqueduct was a monumental undertaking that demanded extraordinary effort and resources. Thousands of workers toiled tirelessly in quarries to extract the necessary stone, meticulously shaping each block to fit precisely into the overall structure. They built supporting piers, known as pylons, which served as the backbone of the arches. Wooden forms and scaffolding were set up to support the construction of the arch vaults, allowing the builders to span vast distances with stone bridges that seemed to touch the heavens. At a time when such engineering marvels were still rare, the Romans employed a groundbreaking material, a type of concrete known as opus cementitium, which revolutionized construction. This mixture, composed of lime, volcanic ash, sand, and crushed ceramics, created an incredibly strong, durable, and monolithic substance, capable of withstanding the test of centuries. The core of the pylons and foundation bases were poured with this modern concrete, ensuring stability and resilience, while the outside was clad in finely cut blocks of natural stone, giving the structure an elegant appearance and further reinforcing its strength. At the crest of this arched aqueduct ran the water conduit itself, known as the specus. It was lined with a waterproof mortar called opus siginium, an advanced blend of lime, sand, and crushed ceramics that provided impeccable impermeability and a delicate rosy hue, covered with heavy stone slabs to shield the water from debris and direct sunlight. The channel was designed to maintain a steady flow of pure, cool water over long distances, untouched by the elements. The entire system was a masterpiece of engineering precision and foresight, yet it also faced serious challenges beyond the technical realm. Political intrigue threatened to sabotage this marvel of Roman ingenuity. The priests of the Decimvira, guardians of the sacred Severian texts, suddenly declared that the prophecies forbade the transport of this water to the capital. Behind this abrupt edict were likely rival factions or political enemies of Marcus, who sought to prevent his triumph and undermine his authority. Heated debates erupted within the Senate, with factions fiercely opposing or supporting the project. Nevertheless, Lucius Marcius Rex, the mastermind behind the aqueduct, demonstrated unwavering resolve. Braving opposition and rallying popular support among the Roman populace, he pushed the project forward against all odds, demonstrating a relentless determination. Finally, in the year of our Lord 140, after nearly 4 years of continuous and meticulous construction, the pure, crystalline waters of the Aqua Marcia poured triumphantly into Rome. This achievement marked a historic moment. The aqueduct supplied the city with nearly 190,000 cubic meters of water each day, more than the older Annio Vetus, yet maintaining an unprecedented quality of purity and clarity. For the first time in history, the citizens of Rome, especially those dwelling at the summit of the Capitoline Hill, enjoyed access to pristine drinking water, a privilege once thought impossible at such heights. This event carried profound symbolic and practical significance. It solidified the idea that Rome's ingenuity could ensure abundant, high-quality resources for its citizens. Not only did it represent a triumph of engineering and resource management, but it also elevated the city's status, setting a new standard for water supply and urban development. The most prestigious neighbourhoods in Rome now had access to this impeccable water, which was regarded as the finest in the city. Imperial and aristocratic households received water of exceptional purity at their tables, transforming social rituals and everyday life alike. The arrival of the Aqua Marcia sparked an infinite ripple effect across the imperial water industry. It fueled the construction of larger, more luxurious public baths, elevating environmental comfort and public health. Wealthy Romans began bringing water into their private estates, embellishing their courtyards, known as peristyles, with fountains, ornamental pools, and decorative basins that showcased their wealth and refined taste. The aqueduct did more than merely supply water. It altered the very fabric and appearance of the city, shaping a new urban landscape that combined architectural grandeur with practical innovation. It set a new benchmark in engineering excellence, inspiring future aqueducts with its grandeur and sophistication. Ultimately, the towering arches that spanned across the Roman landscape became an enduring monument to the genius of Lucius Marcius Rex and the collective ingenuity of the Roman Republic. They symbolized the extraordinary capabilities of Roman architecture and engineering, standing as a testament to a civilization on the cusp of transforming from a republic into an empire. This magnificent feat of construction did not only quench the city's thirst, it immortalized the spirit of Roman innovation, resilience, and imperial ambition, reinforcing the city's status as a shining beacon of human achievement for generations to come. The Roman Republic, amid its turbulent history, was often shaped and reshaped in the fiery crucible of civil strife. The clashing clatter of swords wielded by legions loyal either to Caesar or Pompey, the fierce battles led by Antony and Octavian. These sounds of warfare drowned out the gentle hum of peaceful development that was necessary for a thriving city. For over a decade, the bustling metropolis of Rome found itself preoccupied, its attention diverted from the finer aspects of civic life to the brutal realities of conflict. During these tumultuous years, the old systems of water supply, the aqueducts that had once supplied the city with life-giving water, began to deteriorate. They sagged under the weight of neglect, suffered from relentless barbarian looting, and lacked proper maintenance, which only accelerated their decline. Yet, from this chaos and bloodshed, a new epoch emerged, epoch of empire, an age that would redefine Rome's destiny. At the forefront of this transformation was Octavian Augustus, a figure of remarkable vision and political acumen. He understood with clarity and depth that true power, beyond mere military strength, lay in the well-being and loyalty of the populace. For in a densely populated and often stiflingly hot city like Rome, access to pure, abundant water was one of the greatest blessings that could be bestowed upon its inhabitants. It was an essential commodity that not only sustained life but also fostered stability and prosperity. Recognizing this vital need, one of the most prominent figures of that era rose from the shadows into the spotlight: Gaius Vipsanius Agrippa. Agrippa was not only a trusted friend and the right hand of Augustus, but also a gifted administrator and military leader. His role extended far beyond the battlefield. He was a master planner and a visionary engineer who was committed to transforming Rome into a city fit for its imperial ambitions. If Augustus represented the intellectual and political will driving the empire, then Agrippa was its courageous and skilled executor, the hands that built and repaired, the creator who brought plans to life. In the year of Rome's 33rd before our era, Agrippa was appointed aedile, a magistrate responsible for urban management, an office that put him directly in charge of Rome's civic infrastructure. From that moment, he dedicated himself wholeheartedly to solving the city's water crisis. His relentless energy was fueled by almost limitless resources, and he initiated an extensive reassessment and restoration of the existing aqueducts. To ensure their effective operation, he personally financed the employment of 240 slaves, an unprecedented step, creating the first permanent Roman service dedicated solely to the oversight and maintenance of waterworks. This underground team, a veritable water guard, worked tirelessly to clear channels of mineral deposits known as sinter, repair cracks in the ancient stones, and restore the structural integrity of arches. Agrippa himself was known to enter the underground tunnels, often traversing their lengthy, dark, and complex passages to personally inspect and verify the progress of the restorations. His vigilance was legendary, embodying his unwavering commitment to the city's infrastructure. But Agrippa's ambitions extended beyond mere repairs. He understood that in order to elevate Rome into a truly imperial city, new water sources and channels must be created, innovative arteries that would supply the ever-growing population and maintain Rome's grandeur. As a result, in the very same year, he initiated the construction of the Aqua Julia, a remarkable aqueduct that sought to tap into the natural springs situated near the Tiber's tributaries. This aqueduct drew water from sources located upstream of the Tiber, which had been harnessed earlier in the year 125 before our era. The famous Tiber Springs, known for their warm water. The Aqua Julia ingeniously routed this water into the city by leveraging the existing arch of Marcian and passing it in a dedicated channel above the older aqueduct, a clever construction that saved vast sums of money. This new conduit significantly increased the water supply, adding approximately 50,000 cubic meters of fresh, clean water to Rome each day, enough to meet the needs of a rapidly expanding population and add to the city's burgeoning wealth and comfort. However, Agrippa's most ambitious project was yet to come, a true masterpiece of engineering, the Aqua Virgo, or Water of the Maiden, built in the year 19 before our era. This aqueduct was not only a feat of structural ingenuity, but also surrounded by a compelling legend. According to the story, during the search for a new, reliable water source near Rome, Agrippa's engineers faced frustration. They couldn't locate an adequate spring. It was then that a young maiden appeared mysteriously to their team. She pointed them toward a spring of crystal clear water hidden amidst the landscape, a discovery that marked the beginning of the Aqua Virgo. In gratitude and as a sign of her significance, the aqueduct was named after her, a tribute to the maiden whose guidance had led to such a vital addition to Rome's water infrastructure. The Aqua Virgo was an extraordinary engineering achievement. Spanning approximately 21 kilometers, it was almost entirely built underground, echoing the design of earlier aqueducts, but with more refined precision. This subterranean construction was not driven by fears of enemy attacks, but rather by the desire to preserve the purity and low temperature of the water, qualities essential for the city's health and hygiene. Its gentle downward slope and low entry point into Rome allowed the water to flow smoothly and consistently, ensuring a continuous supply to the city's fountains, baths, and private homes. Agrippa's work on water infrastructure transformed Rome from a city with decaying and insufficient aqueducts into a marvel of engineering and urban elegance. His projects not only supplied the city with much needed resources, but also symbolized the innovative spirit of the early empire, a period when Rome's emperors and their administrators sought to elevate the physical and civic standards of the eternal city, securing its place as a shining beacon of civilization for generations to come. The aqueduct in question was not originally designed solely to feed the hills and rise above the city's landscape, but rather for the purpose of supplying a magnificent and ambitious new district that Emperor Agrippa was developing on the northern side of the Campus Martius. The waters from the aqueduct of Virgo played a crucial role in this grand scheme. It was these very waters that nourished Rome's earliest imperial baths, the monumental Thermae of Agrippa, as well as the iconic Pantheon and hundreds of fountains scattered throughout this vibrant quarter. The aqueduct, known as Aquae Virgo, delivered a staggering volume of over 100,000 cubic meters of pure, high-quality water each day. Its engineering was so exemplary that parts of it still operate in modern times, continuing to serve the city by supplying water to iconic sites such as the famous Trevi Fountain. Agrippa's approach was not limited to merely constructing a series of aqueducts. He envisioned and implemented an entire water distribution system. This comprehensive network involved an elaborate survey of all public and private water consumption points across the city, an innovative and meticulous undertaking. He built a total of 700 water distributed pools, called lacus, which served as key nodes in the system, along with 500 fountains, known as salientes, which transformed the city's public spaces into living works of art and spectacle. In addition, he constructed 130 reservoirs and cisterns, collectively called castella, to regulate and store water, ensuring a steady flow throughout the city. To elevate these utilitarian structures into masterpieces of artistic craftsmanship, Agrippa commissioned the installation of 300 statues and columns crafted from bronze and marble, adorning the aqueducts and their related complexes with sculptures that celebrated the imperial grandeur. The importance of water in ancient Rome transcended its basic necessity. It became a potent symbol of imperial power and civic pride. The constant and abundant supply of clean water, accessible to all, whether a senator or a common plebeian, served as a tangible demonstration of the emperor's benevolence and dedication to his subjects. This unceasing flow of water stood as a visible testament to the prosperity and stability ushered in by the Augustan era, shaping the very image of Rome as an extraordinary empire rooted in abundance. One of the most remarkable examples of water as a tool for imperial display and authority was the ambitious project carried out through another aqueduct branch, the Aquae Alcinae, constructed during the second year before the Christian era. Unlike earlier aqueducts that provided drinkable water, this particular branch diverted a different kind of water, less refined in quality, from Lake Alcina, now known as Lake Marignana. While the water from this source was far from pristine, its immense volume made it suitable for a single, yet utterly spectacular purpose, filling the colossal artificial lake excavated on the right bank of the Tiber River. This enormous reservoir, known as Naumachia Augusta, was conceived as a stage for one of Rome's most grandiose spectacles, immersive naval battles reenacting historical sea wars. Measuring over 5,335 meters across, this artificial lake became a breathtaking arena capable of hosting actual ships, baremes and triremes, manned by hundreds of oarsmen and armed warriors, battling in its vast, shimmering waters. The spectacle was unprecedented, astonishing all who witnessed it, and had the power to evoke awe and admiration even among contemporary spectators. Tens of thousands of viewers gathered along the shores to witness the recreated naval confrontations, such as the famous Battle of Salamis, with elaborate staging that combined engineering brilliance and theatrical grandeur. Once filled with the lake's waters, the aqueduct Aquae Alcinae's output was ingeniously repurposed. They supplied irrigation water for vineyards, gardens, and country villas that sprawled around the city's outskirts. In this manner, water in the hands of the emperor transformed from a fundamental necessity into an elegant instrument harnessed for both sustenance and spectacle. It became a means to demonstrate the limitless potential and power of imperial authority, to turn rivers and lakes into displays of empire's dominance, to shape the landscape and make seas appear where none existed before. The era of Augustus, along with Emperor Agrippa's visionary projects, irrevocably changed Rome's relationship with water. What was once considered a simple element necessary for life gradually evolved into a cultural and ideological symbol, an integral part of civic identity and imperial propaganda. Water became a sacred element, a testament to the empire's wealth, technological mastery, and the benevolence of its ruler. It underpinned the foundations of a civilization that saw itself as advanced and prosperous, with public fountains and aqueducts serving as continuous reminders of imperial might and the grandeur of Augustan rule. As the golden age of Augustus waned, the city of Rome entered a new chapter marked by dynastic succession. Post-Augustan, Julio-Claudian emperors, each vying to leave their mark on history, ranging from wise and capable rulers to some overtaken by madness or tyranny. These leaders oversaw a period of change, intrigue, and often turmoil within the imperial palace walls. Despite all the court intrigues and shifting allegiances in the Senate, Rome itself did not cease to grow and expand. It became a vast, dynamic melting pot, a true crucible where peoples and cultures from across the vast reaches of the empire converged. Rome evolved into a towering metropolis, an unmatched forge of civilization, drawing a multitude of individuals from every corner of the expansive empire, united by the promise of opportunity, grandeur, and the Roman way of life. The city's development was relentless, fueled by the immense infrastructure investments initiated during the Augustan age and sustained by subsequent rulers. The legacy of those monumental aqueducts, fountains, and grand spectacles persisted, symbolizing an age when the measurement of water was also a measure of imperial strength and cultural sophistication. As the population approached the staggering figure of nearly 1 million inhabitants, the bustling human hive of the city began to experience an insatiable thirst that grew more intense with each passing day. The aqueducts built during previous eras, magnificent and awe-inspiring in their own right, no longer sufficed to quench the city's escalating demand for water. It became clear that what was needed were new, even more ambitious engineering feats, projects so grand that they could elevate the very standards of ancient technological achievement and serve as enduring monuments to human ingenuity. With this vision in mind, as the dawn of a new age broke over Rome in the year 38 of our era, a significant transition of power took place. The imperial throne was assumed by Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, more widely remembered by his nickname Caligula. His brief, controversial reign has gone down in history as a time marked by eccentricity, cruelty, and extravagant excesses. Yet, amid his many eccentric pursuits, there was one project that stood out not only for its boldness, but also for its long-term usefulness and visionary scope: the construction of 2 new colossal aqueducts. Caligula, aware of the urgent water crisis facing Rome, initiated their building, but he did not live to see their completion. His murder, carried out by conspirators, abruptly halted progress on these grand endeavours. However, the work did not end in vain. The task was taken up and brilliantly completed by his successor and uncle, Emperor Claudius, whose administrative and engineering acumen ensured the realization of this monumental project. By the year 52, after nearly 14 years of relentless construction. The waters from the Claudian and Anio Novus aqueducts began to flow into Rome, flooding the city with vital life-giving water. These aqueducts represented more than mere infrastructure. They served as a crowning achievement of Roman engineering, an apotheosis of the ingenuity that had fueled the empire's rise. They symbolized the pervasive strength of Roman technological prowess at its zenith, a demonstration of the empire's ability to forge colossal structures that stood as testaments to human mastery over nature. Among all aqueducts built in Rome, these two, claimed to be the most magnificent, deserved special recognition. The Claudian aqueduct, or Aqua Claudia, drew its waters from the purest sources associated with the aquamarine streams, but primarily from higher elevations within the mountains. Its length stretched approximately 69 kilometers, bringing water from distant springs into the heart of the city. The Anio Novus, or New Anio, surpassed it in scale, extending roughly 87 kilometers. Like its older sibling, it utilized water drawn from the Anio River, originating much higher upstream, to supply the city from an elevated point, ensuring a gravity-fed flow that preserved the water's momentum and quality. What truly set this double aqueduct project apart, however, was its breathtaking visual impact. Engineers working under Claudius faced the challenge of crossing a broad, flat plain in the regions approaching the province of Campania, while maintaining an impressive and consistent height throughout their route. To meet this daunting requirement, they devised a masterpiece of architectural and engineering brilliance. For nearly 10 kilometers, two adjacent aqueduct channels marched side by side, following a magnificent arched viaduct that became a signature element of the structure. The lower channel carried the Aqua Claudia, while the channel directly above, built as a two-tiered conduit, was the Anio Novus. Crafted from precisely cut tufa blocks and faced with bricks, this elevated bridge was nothing short of spectacular. Its arches soared as high as 32 meters above the ground, rising like triumphal gateways across the landscape, their rhythmic repetition stretching toward the horizon. This man-made mountain ridge dominated the scenery, a testament to the empire's engineering might and its capacity to impose itself upon nature. At the juncture where these aqueducts crossed the main roads leading to the city, namely the Via Prenestina and Via Labicana, large monumental gates were erected, now famously known as the Porta Maggiore. What initially started as a mere functional section of the aqueduct turned into a celebrated architectural highlight. These gates, lavishly decorated and inscribed with laudatory inscriptions honouring Claudius, became one of the most recognisable symbols of ancient Rome's grandeur. Their intricate adornments and imposing presence reflected the effort, artistry, and imperial pride invested in this engineering marvel. Nonetheless, the construction process was fraught with significant difficulties. One of the major challenges faced by the engineers was the inconsistent quality of the water obtained from the Anio Novus, which was sourced from the river. After heavy rains, the water could become murky and unfit for daily use, posing a serious problem for the city's water supply. This instability in water quality required ongoing solutions and adjustments, adding complexity to an already formidable engineering feat. Yet, despite these obstacles, the aqueducts stood as enduring symbols of Rome's relentless pursuit of perfection in engineering, a concrete reminder of the empire's capacity to shape and control its environment through sheer technical mastery. To address this challenge, the engineers of ancient Rome devised an innovative and highly effective solution that would transform their entire water management system. Near the headwaters of a river, they constructed a large basin, an intentional, carefully designed settling tank. commonly referred to as a sedimentation or filtering reservoir, often called a piscina or marina in Latin. This reservoir played a crucial role in ensuring the quality of the water before it reached the main aqueducts. Its purpose was straightforward yet ingenious. By allowing the water to flow slowly through this expansive basin, the suspended particles of clay, silt, and other impurities would gradually settle on the bottom, effectively clarifying the water and removing the bulk of its sediment content. Only after this natural filtration did the purified flow proceed into the primary channel of the aqueduct, named aqueductus. This method was remarkably simple in concept, but brilliant in execution, and it dramatically enhanced the quality and cleanliness of the water delivered across the sprawling city of Rome. The combined capacity of these two newly constructed aqueducts was truly staggering, reflecting the grandeur and engineering prowess of Roman civilization. Together, they supplied approximately 185,000 cubic meters of water from the source of the Cloaca Aqueduct and about 190,000 cubic meters from the Anio Novus each day. To put this in perspective, this daily volume exceeded the total combined output of three other eminent aqueducts, Aqua Appia, Anio Vetus, and Aqua Marcia, operating collectively. This unprecedented influx of water into the city ignited a veritable revolution in Roman urban life, transforming the very fabric of Rome itself. The impact of this monumental flow of water was profound and multifaceted. It enabled the construction of enormous imperial baths, colossal complexes designed not merely for bathing, but functioning as grand palaces for the Roman people. For instance, the baths built during the reign of Nero, and later those commissioned by emperors like Titus, Trajan, Caracalla, and Diocletian, stand as towering monuments to Roman engineering and luxury. These vast thermal complexes, adorned with intricate mosaics and bathing halls, were heated and supplied with abundant water from the aqueducts, establishing a new social and architectural standard. Moreover, the waters were used generously to irrigate imperial gardens, creating lush, meticulously maintained green spaces within the city. They filled the pools in the villas of aristocrats and adorned the city with an astonishing number of fountains, so many that they became a defining feature of Rome's landscape. In fact, the city earned a new identity, increasingly characterized by water. It became, in essence, a city of flowing fountains, cascading streams, and shimmering pools. The soundscape of Rome, once dominated by horse-drawn carts and bustling marketplaces, was now enriched by the soothing constant murmur of fountains, transforming the city into a symphony of flowing water. The aqueducts of Aqueductus and Anio Novus gained legendary status, representing the pinnacle of Roman hydraulic engineering. They became symbols of human mastery over nature and the advanced civilization's capacity for ingenuity. Inspired by their success, subsequent aqueducts, such as the Aqua Traiana and Aqua Alexandrina, were built, extending the reach and influence of this complex water delivery system. Nonetheless, none of these later structures could match the scale or significance of the two giant aqueducts that had paved the way. They were not merely utilitarian infrastructure, they embodied the spirit of an era, monuments forged in stone that encapsulated the Roman belief that nothing was beyond their technical and creative reach. More than mere engineering feats, these aqueducts served as lasting symbols of the Roman genius, testament to a society that believed in harnessing and controlling nature for civilizational progress. They embodied the idea that human ingenuity could tame even the most formidable natural forces and turn them to the service of civilization's needs. Their majestic remains, stretching across Italian landscapes and etched into the history of engineering, evoke a sense of awe and reverence even today. When observing these grand ruins, the vaulted arches crossing the horizon, one can appreciate only the most visible aspects of their engineering marvel. The true brilliance of Roman hydraulic engineering, however, lay hidden within the intricate network of tunnels, conduits, and channels. The architectural display was merely the surface. Beneath it was a meticulously planned and executed vascular system, designed to ensure the unbroken flow of water from distant mountain springs to the ornate fountains filling the Roman squares. This underground passagework was the essence of Roman hydraulic science. It began with a painstaking selection process for a suitable water source, an endeavour approached with relentless precision. Roman engineers, often referred to as architects or hydraulicians, sought not merely any water but the highest quality possible. Their goal was to find a source that could reliably provide pure, clean, and healthful water suitable for the city's needs. The renowned 1st century BC architect and engineer Marcus Vitruvius Pollio, in his treatise De Architectura, composed in 10 comprehensive books, offers detailed descriptions of the rigorous methods used to evaluate potential sources. In assessing the water source, Roman engineers considered a broad spectrum of factors. They observed the health and habits of local populations, monitoring the physical conditions of those living nearby who drank from the river or spring in question. They scrutinized the water's clarity, cleanliness, and transparency, as these were signs of purity. The taste was also tested. Water that was clear and without offensive odour was preferred. Functional tests extended to chemical scrutiny, though primitive by modern standards, involving simple but telling procedures. For example, they would place a small amount of water in a bronze vessel and observe the presence or absence of stains or spots, which indicated impurity or contamination. Only water that remained unblemished after these tests was deemed worthy of channeling into the city's vast hydraulic network. Everything was approached with meticulous care. They understood that the initial choice of source would determine the success of the entire aqueduct system, affecting the health and well-being of countless citizens for generations. This process of source evaluation, including sensory and primitive chemical assessments, underscores the Romans' advanced understanding of water quality, an understanding that combined practical experimentation with keen observation, laying the groundwork for centuries of hydraulic innovation. In this way, the Roman aqueducts were far more than mere conduits of water. They represented a highly sophisticated infrastructure driven by scientific thought, precise planning, and unwavering dedication to creating a living, flowing monument to their engineering mastery. Behind the awe-inspiring arches and grand structures lay a complex, precisely orchestrated system, an intricate symphony of engineering, science, and human ambition, built to serve an empire that believed in conquering both nature and chaos itself in the pursuit of a better, more civilized world. They used to boil vegetables in that water whenever they needed a quick preparation, and this act was regarded as a favourable sign. Once they identified a reliable source of water, one that flowed steadily and was free of contaminants, they would begin constructing a protective barrier around it, known as a stone water basin, or caput aquae. This basin served as a safeguard, preventing debris, dirt, and other pollutants from reaching the vital source and ensuring the water remained clean and pure. After securing the source, the most critical phase of the entire project commenced. This involved laying down the water conveyance channels along the terrain and meticulously calculating the proper slope or gradient of the pipeline, which was essential for the smooth flow of water over long distances. The ideal inclination known by specialists as the ventru villa or wind view, was carefully maintained within the range of 1 to 5%. This meant a descent of roughly 1 to 5 meters per every 1,000 meters of pipeline length, a precise measurement that balanced the flow's speed, ensuring it was neither too swift nor too sluggish. Such a gentle slope prevented the water from rushing too quickly, which could erode or damage the channel walls, while an insufficient gradient risked causing stagnation and pooling, leading to stagnation and potential contamination. During this crucial phase, skilled surveyors, often called mensors, or teams equipped with specific instruments, including the horobot, the thunderous device, and diopters, meticulously measured each segment of the planned route. The diopters, which functioned similarly to a prototype of what later would become the famous theodolite, allowed them to verify angles and distances with great precision. These workers aimed to align the water conduit as closely as possible with the natural contours of the landscape, striving to run the channels along the natural slopes of hills and ridges to minimize the need for artificial interventions. When the natural terrain presented obstacles such as steep hills, builders would cut through them by constructing tunnels. Conversely, when encountering valleys or ravines, they would erect bridges or arched viaducts to span the gaps. These viaducts were notably the most costly segments of the entire aqueduct system, so engineers and architects always sought to design them to be as short and efficient as possible to reduce expenses while maintaining structural integrity. The aqueduct channel itself, known as the specus, was a marvel of ancient engineering and craftsmanship. Its cross-section varied depending on the required capacity dictated by the aqueduct's volume, but on average the width ranged from 0.5 meter to 2 meters, and the height extended from 1 meter to 3 meters. This spacious design made it possible for a person to perform maintenance tasks or inspections from inside the channel, ensuring continuous upkeep of the system. The inner walls of the conduit were coated with several layers of opus signinum, an impervious waterproof plaster that prevented seepage and deterioration. The upper part of the channel was always securely covered, either by tightly fitted stone slabs or by a vaulted ceiling, providing essential protection against evaporation, debris, animals, and the growth of algae fueled by sunlight. To facilitate inspection and maintenance, sections of the vault or covering featured openings or shafts, ventilation chutes called putti, which allowed artisans or engineers to access the interior safely and efficiently. Periodically, these shafts also served as points for cleaning or repairing damaged sections. When the water reached the city, it did not immediately become accessible to all residents and institutions. Instead, it first flowed into the main distribution reservoir called the Castellu Mave, an imposing, often richly decorated edifice situated in the highest point of the city, served by the aqueduct. Inside this reservoir, the water's flow was slowed deliberately, a necessary measure for the final stage of purification, settling in the basin pools to remove any remaining impurities and sediments. This process was crucial for ensuring the water's cleanliness before it was distributed further. The most sophisticated part of the process was the system of distribution, ingeniously designed by the Romans to be both efficient and socially just. From the main reservoir, water was channeled through 3 designated groups of outlet pipes, each set positioned at different heights within the reservoir, forming a hierarchical network. The lowest set of pipes was assigned to carry water directly to public fountains and communal water basins, providing essential water supplies widely accessible to citizens. This group held the highest priority because ensuring a continuous flow of water for public use was considered a fundamental necessity that exceeded other demands. The pipes located at a slightly higher level supplied water to public bathhouses, the Grand Thermae, where citizens gathered not only for hygiene, but also as social hubs. Only the topmost set of pipes, reserved for cases where the water level was unusually high, delivered water to private homes, workshops, and specialised facilities. These private users included the wealthiest individuals who had received explicit permits from the emperor, as well as artisans and craftsmen working under royal authorization. This hierarchical arrangement of water distribution served an important purpose. It guaranteed that even during periods of drought or mechanical failure of the aqueduct, the city's supply would remain functional and equitable. In times of water scarcity, private consumers and the luxury baths were the first to be deprived of their supply, followed by the public baths, while the public fountains, being a vital resource for everyone, would continue to be supplied as long as possible. Such a system ensured that the most essential public needs always took precedence over private luxury, embodying Roman values of social fairness and practical efficiency. In ancient Rome, the distribution of water throughout the bustling city was a marvel of engineering ingenuity and administrative precision. From colossal reservoirs known as aqueducts, water seamlessly flowed into the urban landscape, reaching every corner of the sprawling metropolis. This grand network of water supply was interconnected with a complex web of lead pipes, commonly called fistulae, which carried the life-giving liquid into homes, public baths, fountains, and various public and private facilities. The Romans were true masters in the craft of producing these pipes, crafted by carefully winding thin sheets of lead into cylindrical forms and then sealing them with meticulously solid joints. Today, the surviving pipes often bear imprints, stamp marks that reveal much more than their simple function. These marks often display the name of the pipe's manufacturer, the owner of the residence to which the pipe led, and sometimes even the name of the emperor who authorized their construction. Such inscriptions represent invaluable archaeological evidence, offering insights into the organization and administration of Roman urban infrastructure. The widespread employment of lead in their plumbing systems has sparked much speculation among modern historians. A prominent theory, known as the lead poisoning hypothesis, suggests that the pervasive use of lead pipes contributed significantly to the gradual decline of Roman civilization. According to this theory, the chronic ingestion of lead-laden water gradually poisoned those who drank from these pipes, weakening their health, reducing fertility rates, and leading to the moral and physical decline of the aristocracy. Over time, this insidious contamination supposedly played a role in the broader collapse of Roman societal structures. However, contemporary scholars tend to approach this hypothesis with considerable skepticism. One of the main reasons for their doubt lies in the nature of the water supplied through Roman aqueducts. The water was notoriously hard, rich in minerals and calcium compounds. As it travelled through the lengthy stone channels, it rapidly accumulated layers of calcified deposits, primarily calcium carbonate, which gradually formed a thick, insulating coating inside the lead pipes. This encrustation acted as a natural barrier, preventing the water from directly contacting the lead itself. In effect, the buildup of mineral deposits created a protective lining that diminished the actual exposure of water, and consequently, of the inhabitants, to the lead. Furthermore, it is important to note that the majority of Roman residents did not draw their water directly from household pipes. Instead, they relied on public fountains, marble or stone structures scattered across the city, fed by water travelling through these vast networks. These fountains, as well as other communal outlets, drew water from the aqueducts via stone or terracotta channels designed to maintain water quality and prevent contamination. Maintaining such an extensive and intricate system demanded continuous oversight and dedicated maintenance efforts. These were managed by a specialized governmental body known as the Curquarium. At the helm of this organization stood the Curator Aquarum, a prestigious senator appointed directly by the emperor himself. The curator was responsible for overseeing the entire water system, ensuring its proper functioning and supervising a team of engineers, technicians, inspectors, and labourers. Among the most renowned of these officials was Sextus Julius Fronto, who lived towards the end of the 1st century of our era. He authored a detailed treatise on the city's waterworks, titled De Aqueductu Urbis Romae. This document remains one of the most valuable surviving sources on Roman hydraulic engineering, comprising a comprehensive account of all 11 aqueducts that supplied the city at that time. Fronto meticulously described their construction, efficiency, water quality, and the methods of distributing water across Rome. A meticulous and conscientious administrator, Fronto dedicated himself to resolving major challenges facing the aqueduct system. One persistent problem was the issue of illegal connections, sometimes called clandestine hookups, by resourceful citizens eager to divert water for their private use. Many enterprising Romans clandestinely tapped into the aqueducts with makeshift pipes, diverting water for their villas, gardens, or businesses, thus stealing from the communal resource. Fronto responded to this issue with regular patrols and coordinated efforts to uncover and dismantle these unauthorized connections, punishing offenders heavily with fines so severe they served as effective deterrents. Another constant challenge was the need to keep the aqueduct channels clean and free from mineral deposits, particularly the calcite scale that gradually accumulated over decades. The buildup of such deposits on the inner walls of the channels significantly reduced their capacity, threatening the efficiency of the entire system. To combat this, workers periodically descended into the channels, sometimes using specialized equipment, and manually chipped away at these mineral deposits. Interestingly, these deposits were highly valued as building materials. The calcium carbonate could be repurposed in construction or as a raw industrial resource. Such a sophisticated, multi-layered organization exemplifies the astonishing achievements of Roman civilization. It was not merely the monumental architectural feats, like the aqueducts themselves, that demonstrated Roman genius, but the highly efficient administrative and logistical frameworks they devised to maintain and operate these inventions. The entire water supply system was, in many ways, an extraordinary operation, an intricate machine that required constant supervision, expert craftsmanship, and vigilant management. The water that flowed into Rome through these aqueducts did more than quench the city's physical thirst. It profoundly transformed the very fabric of Roman urban life, shaping a civilization centered on leisure, social interaction, and cultural refinement. The arrival of abundant fresh water turned the city into a hub of public baths known as thermae, sprawling complexes offering relaxation, hygiene, and social gathering. Fountains, beautifully sculpted and ornately decorated, became iconic features in public spaces, delighting residents and visitors alike. In this way, water in Rome transcended its basic role as a simple resource. It became an aesthetic element, a source of entertainment, a means of health and healing, and a vital axis of social cohesion. It nourished not only the city's physical needs, but also nurtured its communal spirit. The sophisticated infrastructure and the cultural richness it fostered transformed water from a mundane commodity into a central element that defined Roman civilization, an enduring testament to their ability to turn practical engineering into an art that united utility with beauty. If aqueducts served as the vital arteries of ancient Rome, transporting life-sustaining water into the city's sprawling urban landscape, then the public baths, known as thermae, undoubtedly functioned as its beating heart. The word thermae derives from the Greek word thermos, meaning warm or hot, reflecting the essential role heat played in these grand complexes. However, Roman thermae were far more than mere communal bathing facilities. They represented an architectural, cultural, and social phenomenon of staggering proportions. These were colossal, multifunctional complexes, massive public palaces, where every Roman citizen, regardless of social standing, could spend an entire day immersed in leisure, relaxation, and communal life, often for a modest fee or sometimes free of charge. In essence, they embodied a microcosm of Roman society, an oasis of civic and cultural activity, open and accessible to all. The most renowned imperial thermae, such as those built under Emperor Caracalla or Diocletian, sprawled across vast areas, tens of hectares, and could comfortably accommodate thousands of visitors simultaneously. These complexes were actual cities within the city, boasting luxurious interiors adorned with marble surfaces, intricate mosaics, and statues carved from the finest stones. The grandeur of their design reflected the importance placed on bathing as an integral part of Roman daily life and civic identity. Visiting the thermae was a ritual, a carefully orchestrated sequence that combined hygiene, relaxation, and social interaction into a single, seamless experience. Upon entering the baths, a Roman approached a large, airy dressing room called the apoditorium. This space was equipped with niches embedded into the walls for storing clothing and personal belongings, offering a sense of order and convenience. From this transitional zone, the visitor embarked on a prescribed route through various temperature zones, each designed to prepare the body gradually for the next stage of purification and indulgence. The first stop on this journey was the tepidarium, a comfortably warm room where heat was gently introduced to the body, helping it acclimate to higher temperatures. It served as a transitional area, easing the muscles into a state of relaxation. Beyond this was the caldarium, a hot, steamy chamber that could only be described as a paradise for heat lovers. Here, in the caldarium, large pools filled with scalding water beckoned bathers to indulge in cleansing or simply to soak in the restorative heat. The walls and floors of this room were constantly heated from beneath by an ingenious hypercaust system, an ancient form of central heating where hot air and smoke from the subterranean furnaces circulated through a network of hollow bricks, raising the temperature efficiently and uniformly. This hypercaust system was nothing short of a technological marvel. Metal and brick flues layered within the walls, and beneath the floors channeled the hot fumes, transforming these chambers into vast, enclosed furnaces. The ambient air, heated and circulating, created an intense, enveloping warmth, making the caldarium an ideal place for relaxation and detoxification. Bathers, often stripped to their skin, took advantage of the steam and heat to sweat out impurities. Servants or slaves played an essential role here. They used special scrapers, called strigils, to remove layers of dirt, oil, and sweat from the skin, often applying olive oil as a natural soap alternative, which helped loosen grit and dead cells before being scraped away. After the caldarium, visitors transitioned into the frigidarium, an expansive, cool hall featuring a giant cold plunge pool. Immersing oneself in this icy bath provided an invigorating shock that closed the pores and refreshed the body. The stark contrast between the hot caldarium and the cold frigidarium was not merely for hygiene, but also to stimulate circulation and invigorate the senses. This sequence, hot, warm, cold, was carefully designed to maximize physical and mental rejuvenation. But bathing, despite being the central activity, was merely one facet of the thermae's purpose. These complexes also functioned as bustling social hubs, centres of public life that transcended mere cleanliness. The thermae incorporated a variety of spaces, open courtyards called palaestrae, where visitors could engage in athletic pursuits such as ball games, wrestling, or lifting weights with iron dumbbells. These areas fostered physical fitness and camaraderie, blending sport with leisure. Libraries filled with Greek and Latin scrolls offered quiet retreats for intellectual pursuits. Lecture halls and forums hosted philosophical debates, discussions about politics, or rhetorical exercises. There were lush gardens for walks, benches for socializing, and pavilions where people could relax and observe the bustling activity. The thermae were not only places to wash, they were vibrant centres of civic engagement, where citizens, from senators to common workers, mingled, negotiated, and conducted business. Indeed, it was in these civic spaces that deals were made, political alliances forged, and gossip exchanged. Places where personal, social, and political lives intertwined seamlessly. Many of the larger complexes housed taverns, refreshment booths, and small inns where visitors could indulge in light snacks or a glass of wine, completing the experience of communal leisure. In many ways, the Roman thermae served as a contemporary equivalent of modern gyms, spas, parks, and cultural centres, all rolled into one accessible, democratic space. This democratization of leisure was one of the keys to their success. The therme plagiarized social barriers. A poor artisan might find himself in close proximity to a patrician senator, sharing the same hot baths, enjoying the same amenities, and participating in the same activities. All forms of social hierarchy momentarily faded in the harmony of shared relaxation and recreation. The continuous operation of these grand complexes was made possible by the immense water infrastructure that Roman engineering had perfected, namely the aqueducts. These aqueducts supplied vast quantities of fresh water, sometimes tens of thousands of cubic meters each day, to the baths, ensuring a steady, reliable flow. Without this continuous supply, the thermes would not have been sustainable. The water circulated through the baths, filling pools, cleaning channels, and washing away waste in the sewer systems, effectively integrating the water supply into the life cycle of these colossal structures. Another manifestation of Rome's reverence for water was the proliferation of fountains, which transformed the city into a landscape punctuated by intricate, beautiful water displays. Thanks to advanced plumbing, initially developed through the aqueducts and further refined by successive emperors, Rome became a city characterized by thousands of fountains, each serving as a decorative masterpiece and a practical source of refreshment. These fountains provided not only aesthetic pleasure, but also symbolized the city's mastery over water management and engineering marvels. In summary, the Roman water infrastructure and the monumental thermae form the core of the city's grand design, a testament to their ingenuity, social organization, and cultural priorities. The aqueducts kept the lifeblood flowing, while the therme complexes united the population through shared routines of cleanliness, relaxation, and civic participation. These elements together created a city that celebrated water not merely as a utilitarian resource, but as a symbol of civic pride, artistic achievement, and social unity. Across the bustling city of Rome and its quieter alleyways, water was an ever-present, vital element woven into the very fabric of urban life. Be it on lively squares filled with voices and movement, or in secluded corners of the city, water sources of various kinds played a crucial role in everyday existence. In the opulent atriums of wealthy residences, where fountains and water features decorated luxurious homes, or in the courtyards of multi-story insulae, large apartment buildings, water was accessible in many forms. These ranged from simple, functional structures like humble drinking basins and small basins used by housewives to fetch water or wash clothes, to grand, intricate monuments dedicated to water, such as elaborate nymphea adorned with cascading waterfalls, grottos, and sculptural figures. The sound of splashing water and the gentle murmur of fountains became an integral part of Rome's acoustic environment, filling the city's heat-baked summer days with refreshing currents and a sense of coolness. These fountains were far from mere utilitarian objects. They represented artistic masterpieces and served as essential elements of urban design. Public and private fountains became popular gathering spots, places where people met, exchanged news, or simply rested in the shade while sipping the cool water. They acted as social hubs, fostering community interaction in a city that cherished its shared spaces. Beyond their aesthetic and social functions, the water supplied through aqueducts played a significant role in maintaining the city's sanitation and health standards. The surplus water from fountains, thermal baths, and other public water sources was not wasted. Instead, it flowed into complex sewer systems, the most famous of which was the Cloaca Maxima, an extraordinary feat of engineering by ancient standards. This vast network of underground channels was designed to continuously flush out waste and keep the city clean, channeling impurities directly into the Tiber River. Such a detailed and efficient system was vital for a metropolis hosting hundreds of thousands of inhabitants, helping to prevent the spread of disease even under dense urban conditions. Water from the aqueducts was also integral to various industries that thrived within Rome. In Fulonisae, laundry and dyeing workshops, immense quantities of water were needed for washing, bleaching, and dyeing textiles. These industries often relied heavily on water mixed with natural substances, including urine, which was a key component in tanning and certain dyeing processes. Similarly, water powered numerous other operations, such as fulling, cleaning and thickening cloth, and leather tanning, all of which benefited from the steady supply of fresh water. The aqueducts even fueled the power sources of the city, water mills that turned the flow of water into rotational energy. These mills ground vast quantities of grain, feeding the needs of Rome's growing population, which in some periods numbered well over 1 million residents. The technological achievement of transporting water over long distances through a series of channels and tunnels formed the backbone of daily life, enabling Rome to enjoy levels of comfort, hygiene, and urban sophistication that seemed extraordinary for its time. These aqueducts laid the foundation upon which an entire civilization's social and cultural life was built. They provided the infrastructure for the grand public baths, Roman thermes, where citizens gathered not only to cleanse their bodies, but also to socialize and relax. The fountains, with their artistic sculptures and precise engineering, served as symbols of Roman ingenuity and aesthetic taste. Together, these waterworks stood as timeless monuments to human creativity, demonstrating how engineering marvels could reshape not just the physical landscape, but also redefine daily habits, fostering a unique culture of leisure and communal interaction accessible to Romans of all classes. The legacy of this mastery in water management remains vivid in history as Roman baths and fountains, tangible proof of the grandeur and ingenuity of Roman infrastructure. These marvels embodied a civilization's ability to harness natural resources, creating a living environment that promoted health, comfort, and social cohesion. elements that defined Roman urban culture. They vividly illustrated how technological progress could profoundly influence the way people lived, worked, and engaged with one another within an expansive urban domain. However, just as all great civilizations are destined to face decline, the Roman Empire gradually began to unravel, starting from the 2nd century of our era. Internal crises, civil conflicts, and the invasions of barbarian tribes shook the foundations of Rome, weakening its mighty structure. The centuries of ceaseless construction and expansion left behind buildings and infrastructure that, over time, started to show cracks. Among the most vulnerable parts of this architectural marvel was the water supply system, its intricacies and vast network of aqueducts, one of the earliest to feel the encroaching signs of decay. Maintaining thousands of kilometers of channels, arches, and underground conduits demanded enormous resources, meticulous oversight, and peace, elements that the empire increasingly lacked. As internal stability waned, regular repairs and upgrades became fewer and far between. Skilled engineers who once kept the systems in pristine condition became scarce, and the infrastructure fell into neglect. The aqueducts, with their majestic arches and lengthy tunnels, began to decay. Channels clogged with debris, and some arches even collapsed under the weight of age and neglect, reducing the effectiveness of water delivery. The most destructive blow to Rome's water system occurred during the tumultuous years of the 6th century, when the city faced repeated sieges and wars. The year 2037 was especially critical. During the siege of Rome in the year 537, when the city was under the control of the Ostrogothic king Totila's forces, the attackers adopted a tactic more effective than any direct assault. They systematically targeted the city's water infrastructure, deliberately destroying all aqueducts converging upon the city. These Gothic forces meticulously dismantled and damaged the aqueducts, breaking through the arches, demolishing large sections of the channels, making swift repairs impossible. Their strategy was to cut off the vital water supply entirely, leaving Rome without its cherished abundance of fresh water. The destruction of these critical conduits was a calculated move aimed at crippling the city's ability to sustain itself during the siege. For a metropolis that had for centuries been accustomed to plentiful water, its abundance an integral part of Roman civic identity, such destruction was nothing short of catastrophic. It marked a tragic decline, a symbol of the empire's waning ability to maintain its monuments of engineering, and the beginning of a new, more fragile era for the ancient city. Once the skies themselves seemed to pour forth endless streams of water, transforming the heavens into a vast celestial basin. However, these river-like currents in the sky eventually ceased. Their once mighty torrents dried up, and their once roaring fountains fell silent, ceasing to gush or sing. The enormous thermal springs, once a marvel of engineering and a symbol of natural abundance, gradually lost their vitality. Without water to sustain them, they shrank and hardened into lifeless stone masses, massive and silent, their majestic forms now mere remnants of a bygone era. In this bleak transformation, life in Rome ground to a halt, as if time itself had paused amid the desolation. The consequences of this crisis were horrific and far-reaching. Without a steady supply of pure drinking water, the population found itself stranded in a primitive state, forced to revert to ancient practices that had long been superseded. Instead of modern aqueducts and bustling fountains, people had to resort to sourcing water from the same murky streams their ancestors relied upon 1,000 years earlier. The sluggish, foul-flowing waters of the Tiber River and the few remaining wells scattered across the city. These waters, often polluted and contaminated, became the harbingers of disease, rather than life-giving sustenance. Soon the city was engulfed by deadly epidemics. The absence of water halted all crafts and trades that depended on it. No longer could artisans, bakers, or laundresses carry out their routines. The city, once a centre of culture and ingenuity, began a slow unravelling. People started leaving the parched, barren hills that once adorned Rome's skyline and moved downward, seeking refuge along the banks of the Tiber, particularly around the grounds of the Campus Martius. What was once a thriving, resplendent metropolis, the very capital of the world, began to rapidly diminish in size and significance. Over a span of just a few decades, its population had plummeted from over 1 million inhabitants to a mere 30 to 40,000 souls. Medieval Rome was now scarcely more than a pale shadow of its imperial grandeur, reduced to a cluster of small villages nestled among the ruins of its glorious past. The massive arches of the aqueducts, once vital arteries of the city's lifeblood, stood abandoned, their purpose long forgotten. Many of these monumental structures were stripped of their valuable stones by locals eager to reuse them for new constructions, their once noble purpose lost amid neglect and decay. In the abandoned channels, birds built nests, and livestock grazed among the crumbling relics, weaving a strange, silent landscape of ruin and nature's reclamation. For more than 1,000 years, Rome was plunged into an era dominated by relentless thirst, a period marked by hardship and despair. Water, the essence of life, had become a precious commodity, elusive as a dream. Yet, amid this darkness remained a single beacon of hope, the aqueduct known as Aquae Vergi, which, owing to its primarily subterranean route, somehow escaped complete destruction. It continued sporadically to supply water to a part of the city, a faint flicker of the ancient marvel that refused to be entirely obliterated. The ingenuity of Roman engineers, however, had not perished with the fall of the empire. It merely entered a dormant state, lying in wait, silent but alert for the moment of rebirth. When the Renaissance dawned, reviving a renewed interest in classical antiquity, the world once again turned its gaze toward ancient Rome's incredible legacy. Humanists and architects studied the treatise of Vitruvius, marveling at the depth of knowledge that the ancient Romans possessed in the fields of engineering and urban planning. The popes of Rome, driven by their desire to restore the eternal city's former glory, realized that without a reliable water supply, such ambitions would remain unfulfilled. As a result, they undertook the painstaking task of reconstructing and restoring the great aqueducts which had fallen into disuse. By the 10th century, the aqueduct known as Aqua Virgo was repaired and brought back into service, now designated as Aqua Virgo, Virginia. Its waters nourished the newly built and magnificent Fountain of Trevi, which famously became a symbol of Rome's rebirth, an emblem of hope and renewal that inspired both the ancient and the modern. Later on, during the 10th and 11th centuries, new aqueducts, namely Aqua Fecula and Aqua Paula, were constructed, following the paths of the ancient Roman routes. These engineering feats once again channeled water onto Rome's hills, gradually restoring its fountains, baths, and urban life. Rome was, once more, a city of flowing water, a city of magnificent fountains and life-sustaining streams. The legacy of the Roman aqueducts thus proved to be truly immortal, transcending the centuries and surviving as both physical monuments and ideas. First of all, these aqueducts represent a tangible heritage, lasting evidence of human ingenuity. The majestic ruins of aqueducts like the Aqua Claudia or the Pont de Gare in southern France continue to captivate the imagination of travellers and scholars alike, standing as UNESCO World Heritage Sites that embody a past era's ambitions and mastery of engineering. They serve as a permanent witness to the skills and determination of the ancient architects who built them, defying the forces of nature for centuries. Secondly, the aqueducts embody a profound technological heritage. The principles developed and employed by Roman engineers, relying primarily on gravity, constructing arched bridges, and utilizing waterproof mortar, laid the foundation for modern water systems. Their innovations in designing distribution and purification systems became the seeds from which contemporary hydraulic engineering grew. Many of these ancient principles, refined over millennia and adapted with new materials and methods, are still in use today in the construction of modern water supply networks and canal systems. Most importantly, perhaps, is the philosophical and moral legacy embodied in these aqueducts. They symbolize the quintessential idea that access to clean, fresh water is not a privilege reserved for the few, but a fundamental human right that every city dweller must enjoy as the basis for a civilized society. It is a testament to the belief that the state bears a crucial responsibility to create, maintain, and improve the infrastructure necessary to ensure this essential resource for all its citizens, regardless of their station or status. In essence, the aqueducts of Rome are not merely relics of ancient engineering marvels. They represent a comprehensive legacy, physical, technological, and moral, that continues to influence and inspire our world today. Their enduring presence reminds us of a time when the mastery over water was seen not only as an achievement of engineering, but also as a fundamental component of societal progress and human dignity. The ancient Romans were the first civilization in human history to realize a grand and ambitious idea on a vast planetary scale. They took the concept of aqueducts, ingenious channels designed to transport water over great distances, and turned it into a colossal network that not only served their bustling capital, but extended across dozens of cities scattered throughout the expansive reaches of their empire, from the sun-drenched plains of Spain to the arid, rugged landscapes of Syria. In doing so, they established a new standard for urban comfort, a level of sophistication and convenience that would all but define what it meant to live in a civilized city. This standard of living, born from human ingenuity, remained unparalleled for centuries, only truly surpassed with the dawn of the Industrial Revolution in the 10th and 11th centuries, when technological and societal advancements propelled humanity into a new era of progress. As daylight wanes and the sun dips below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the ancient city, the remaining ruins of these magnificent aqueducts stand as silent witnesses to a bygone era. The sky above begins to turn shades of deep crimson and rich gold, painting a vivid backdrop against the darkening silhouette of towering stone structures. These crumbling arches and broken spans throw long, intricate shadows across the ground, creating a delicate tapestry of light and dark that seems to tell a story of dominance, engineering mastery, and resilience. In the calm tranquility of evening, when the world is quiet save for the gentle rustling of the wind, it feels as though one can still hear the faintest whispers, a soft, almost imperceptible murmur, coming from the stones themselves. This whisper is the voice of water that once coursed vigorously through these channels, now sealed within the solid stone, but alive in memory. It was water that had flowed through these impressive constructions, carrying sustenance and vitality into the heart of the city and its surrounding regions. This silent flow represented the lifeblood of a mighty empire, an empire that thrived because of such extraordinary feats of engineering. These ancient aqueducts are not merely inert stones, they are monuments silent guardians of human daring and genius. They embody the boldness of a civilization that dared to challenge nature itself, to overcome its barriers and harness its power for the benefit of countless generations. The story told by Roman aqueducts is a testament to the idea that human progress often comes through innovation, vision, and the relentless pursuit of improvement. They speak of a city that dared to defy the limitations imposed by nature, of a society that refused to accept water shortages, unsanitary conditions, and the hardships brought on by primitive water sources. Instead, through the strength of wit and determination, the Romans commanded distant mountain rivers to serve their needs, channeling their force to where humans most needed it. This technological revolution in water management was not merely about plumbing, it was an act of social and cultural transformation. It turned humble hilltop settlements into thriving metropolises, glowing beacons of civilization, and the fertile ground where Western culture was ultimately born. The legacy of Roman aqueducts reminds us that true greatness is measured not solely by the territorial conquests or victorious battles, but also by the monumental achievements that serve humanity across ages. These structures, with their graceful arches reaching into the sky, symbolize the enduring spirit of innovation and resilience. As long as these stone bridges remain standing, reaching toward the heavens, they serve as a living memory of a civilization that overcame water's obstacles, demonstrating to future generations that human ingenuity can surmount even the most formidable natural challenges. Standing silent and proud, these ancient ruins evoke a sense of awe, inspiring us to reflect on the profound impact of engineering marvels, the triumphs of visionaries who understood that progress hinges not only on military might or territorial expansion, but also on the ability to create sustainable solutions that improve lives over centuries. They remind us that greatness is built on the foundations of ingenuity, perseverance, and the relentless desire to master the environment for the betterment of society. As you contemplate these enduring arches, reaching skyward like stone sentinels from a distant past, the memory of a civilization that conquered water and transformed the mundane into the magnificent continues to live vividly. The story of Roman aqueducts is not only a chapter of engineering achievement, but also a celebration of human potential, an eternal testament to what can be accomplished when the mind and hand come together in pursuit of a grand idea. Thank you for taking this time to delve into one of the most captivating chapters in the history of human ingenuity. If this journey through time and engineering heritage has captured your interest, consider exploring more stories about the great events and remarkable personalities of our past, stories that reveal the depth of our collective history and inspire us to look forward with confidence. Your attention and curiosity are the greatest rewards for those who strive to uncover and share these timeless stories.